Hello, very good evening to you. Welcome to ITV News and Friday night's calendar.
Hello, thanks for joining us. Here are tonight's main stories.
Save our libraries as 8 branches face an uncertain future in Kirklees. Campaigners say their closure would mean the end of a vital service.
I was very depressed, being on my own, having lost my wife. And then a little brochure came through my door, and since then I've joined 4 different groups in the library, and all of it has really saved my life.
Flood money, a promise of government cash to help prevent more misery, but that's little comfort for one victim forced to live in a caravan for months.
We're all pretty fearful of it happening again because it just destroys you, everything.
We are forgotten completely. Nobody's doing anything, nobody's speaking to us, and nobody's telling us about the future.
Leeds United take on Leicester City in a top-of-the-table clash. I'll have all the build-up live from Ellen Road.
And if you've got a wet nose, join us shortly because you'll be in good company with Spin and Spud, 2 of the dogs flying the flag for our region at Crufts in just a couple of weeks.
But first tonight, a man cleared of burning down a 14th century pub in North Yorkshire has hit out at prosecutors for bringing charges against him in the first place.
28-year-old Charles Burkitt was accused of an arson attack on the Star Inn at Hareham on the edge of the North York Moors in November 2021.
Well, today at a hearing at York Crown Court, the case against him was dropped and thrown out, as Chris Conway reports.
It was a fire that reduced the thatched roof of the Star Inn pub to ashes. At its height, more than 40 firefighters were called to tackle the flames at the 14th century Michelin-starred establishment in Hareham near Helmsley in November 2021. After being charged with arson last August, today Charles Burkitt appeared at York Crown Court to hear the charges against him were dropped.
I always knew that I was innocent, but to go through what I have over the last 2 years has been extremely hard. I have suffered severe anxiety which I've never experienced before, knowing that I was facing a prison sentence of possibly 6 years or more. For over 2 years this has affected me as a person hugely, affected my job and income, and taken a massive toll on Hannah, my girlfriend, who has been a rock throughout this, as well as all my family and friends.
In court, prosecutors offered no new evidence after the production of a new report by one of Britain's leading fire investigators, which was paid for by Mr Burkitt's family. The court heard Mr Burkitt was charged on the basis that he deliberately put a cigarette into the thatch of the property. But prosecutors admitted the new investigation showed this was not the case, and the fire was caused by a candle in a makeshift ashtray, igniting cigarette butts, which spread to dead ivy around the door of the pub. At the end of a hearing that lasted less than 10 minutes, Judge Sean Morris told Mr Burkitt, "You are not to blame for this. You are perfectly innocent, and you leave this court without a stain on your character." Outside court, Mr Burkitt criticised the police and fire service investigations, saying that many other people would not have had the financial resources to challenge the evidence in the way he did.
My name has been dragged through the dirt because certain people are completely incapable of doing their jobs properly. My worry is that there are other people out there under similar circumstances who would not have had the support financially and emotionally that was needed to prove my innocence.
Leaving court, Mr Burkitt said the charges had caused considerable distress to both him and his family. The 28-year-old admitted he was glad to finally be able to put his nightmare behind him. Well, the Star Inn was rebuilt and reopened in 2022 following that fire. And today, outside court, Mr Burkitt was keen to praise the Pearn family for their support throughout the legal process. The Pearn family are the owners of the Star Inn. Indeed, Mr Burkitt made the point that perhaps without their support throughout the legal process, the charges against him may not have been dismissed. In response to Mr Burkett's criticisms of both the investigation that led to him being charged with arson and the legal proceedings that followed, the CPS said today that they stopped the case after receiving further expert evidence. Meanwhile, North Yorkshire Police told me tonight that following today's outcome, they will be reviewing the case to identify any learning opportunities.
Chris Conway with that report. Well, next tonight, to the campaign to save 8 libraries in Kirklees, which are under threat of closure, as the council embarks on a cost-cutting mission to save £35 million.
People in Murfield, which is one of the libraries under threat, say that the groups there have provided them with a vital source of friendship and even saved them from depression.
The community hub has even had backing from homegrown Hollywood superstar Sir Patrick Stewart, who says his love of literature was fostered there. Helen Steele went to meet members of the library today.
It's a place to learn first words, a community meeting point and a haven for quiet contemplation. But for Ron Powell, who came here after his wife died, it's something even more important.
I was very depressed, being on my own, having lost my wife, and even contemplated the worst thought. And then a little brochure came through my door.
That brochure advertised the groups this library had on offer.
Since then, I've joined 4 different groups in the library, and all of it has really saved my life.
It was a similar story for Diane Kelly.
And he was always there, he held me hand, you know, he looked after me.
She's partially sighted and relied on her husband until he died. Now she has new friends and an active social life.
If I didn't have the library, I wouldn't have that. I love coming here. I look forward to coming here. I actually get up in the morning and think, oh, I'm going to the library. You know, I know it might sound a bit sad to some people, but it's my life. It's what I look forward to.
The Murfield Public Library had a very good children's section.
Even Hollywood A-listers had to start somewhere, and for Sir Patrick Stewart, it was here.
And it sent him on to become the actor that he is today. Just think how things would have been with Star Trek and all the rest of it without Patrick Stewart. So you don't know what imagination a book can spark.
And it's my constituency's particularly hard hit. So
Today, the local Conservative MP met with members to fight the proposals, part of a £35 million cost-cutting exercise by Kirklees Council.
So Kirklees Council response is that they don't receive fair funding from government. What's the response to that?
It's been a shambolic financial mismanagement process by Kirklees Council. And that's not me saying that, that's the independent auditors.
The council, though, says it's made much-needed investment in the area for many years.
Well, Kirklees Council's by no means the only one that's had to make swathing cuts and take difficult decisions. But in recent weeks, the council has bowed to public pressure. 2 care homes, Claremont House in Heckmondwike and Castle Grange in Huddersfield, have been saved. But savings come at a cost, and now Murfield Library is one of 8 in the area that's being threatened with closure.
The council added it wants to maintain a library service, and it's now consulting on handing these libraries over to the community.
Repairs, maintenance, lighting, heating. I can't imagine how much it costs to run this 200-year-old building.
So volunteer run would mean closing then, do you think?
It would, virtually.
As the clock ticks until the final decision, members here are left contemplating life without their library.
I could be back to square one, you know, so I'm 100% behind the library, and I only wish I was a multi-millionaire and I'd pay for it to all be done.
Helen Steele, ITV News in Murfield.
The family of a Rotherham man who was killed 8 years ago in the Didcot power station collapse say they're still no closer to finding out why it happened. Ken Creswell's body was buried underneath the rubble for 7 months. He was working on the demolition of the plant in Oxfordshire. John Shaw from Rotherham and 2 other men also died. An investigation is still not complete. Mr Creswell's family say they cannot grieve properly until they receive answers. Next, to a multi-million-pound investment to help protect parts of our region from devastating flooding, which we've seen much of in recent years.
The government's putting forward cash which will be spent across England on tree planting and the creation of wetlands to stem the flow and store excess water.
But for those who were hit hard by the recent storms, it's too little too late. and many believe the money should be spent elsewhere. Matt Price is live for us tonight in Catcliffe in Rotherham. Matt, the organisations getting the money today must be very, very pleased about it.
They are indeed. We'll come on to who's getting the money in just a moment. But 120 houses were flooded over in Catcliffe in October, and a lot of the work to rebuild those houses is still ongoing at the moment. So a big cash investment of £25 million, but a big question as to why it's only happening now on an estate which still bears the scars of Storm Babette. They might be used to the rain in Catcliffe, but as the river level rises, so too do levels of anxiety. This housing estate looks more like a caravan park following Storm Babette, but living here on California Drive is no holiday. Just ask June.
We're all pretty fearful of it happening again, because it just destroys you. It destroys your everything. Everybody's having mixed emotions.
She's been cooking, eating and sleeping here for months now. Reacting to the government's spend on natural flood management, she says the decision has come far too late.
I can go back to when I were at school and we used to sing a song, "In England's green and pleasant land." You can't sing that anymore, because all the greenery they're taking away, the trees they're taking away. Where's the water going to go eventually?
And June's son Martin, who lives with her, echoes that concern.
You're planting trees, they are going to soak up a bit of water, but the amount of water that comes through from the hills and the peak districts and things like that, I don't think that's enough really. I think something bigger needs to be done.
Much of this area was underwater when the River Rother burst its banks in October. 120 homes were hit hard. Today, ministers have announced that 40 projects across England will benefit from a share of £25 million, where nature will be used to increase the nation's flood resilience. Those involved include wildlife, river and woodland charities, as well as community groups and some councils. They say that natural flood management, such as tree planting and the creation of wetlands, will help to reduce the flood risk to communities. Just down the road at Chris Lloyd's house, some signs of support, some proof of progress, but it's slow, and he's questioning DEFRA's plan.
It is too little too late. In fact, it's not going to materialise in Catcliffe at all. We are forgotten completely. Nobody's doing anything, nobody's speaking to us, and nobody's telling us about the future.
In a statement, the Environment Agency said the flood defences at Catcliffe were inspected after the event and they had operated as designed. We're also carefully considering what actions can be taken to further reduce flood risk in Catcliffe. With each day, June is a step closer to having a permanent roof over her head. A big government announcement today overshadowed by the damage and destruction caused to her home. Well, many of the organisations who were getting a share of the cash weren't aware it was happening. In fact, it was Finola from our news team that phoned and told them about the announcement, and they were obviously very delighted. Now, as you heard in my report, the Natural Flood Management Programme will see a number of trees planted on fields to slow the stem of water. There'll be wetlands created as well to hold water from the river and the sea. Now, among the organisations in our area that are set to benefit include Nottinghamshire Wildlife Trust. They're planning a project to add flood storage near Worksop.
Natural flood management is when you look at doing lots of small interventions, and together they take the peak off the top of the flood and they slow the flow. So these are tried and tested techniques, and looking forward we're only going to see at the moment, unfortunately, more of these patterns of unpredictable high rainfall events, and we've got to build a much more resilient landscape to try and protect these communities. And from a wildlife perspective, it also creates more habitats in the landscape as well.
Money will also be spent on projects in Doncaster and Lincolnshire. We haven't been told how much money or when the projects will start, so there is understandable, perhaps, scepticism here in Catcliffe tonight.
Yes, we can understand that. Thanks very much indeed. Matt Price reporting live from Catcliffe.
Still to come on the programme this evening, the Northallerton teenager who's carrying on a family tradition as she and her spaniels prepare to compete at Crufts.
And today we've had a right mixture. Long winter shadows, sunshine and showers and a few rainbows. And with our early spring sunshine, we also had a few heavy downpours. All the forecast for the weekend a little later on.
And after calendar, it's the ITV Evening News at 6:30 with Charlene White.
Coming up, energy bills are set to fall for millions. From April, the energy price cap will drop to its lowest for 2 years. But will it be enough to help struggling households? Also, the mission to dispose of an unexploded World War II bomb found in a Plymouth back garden. Welcome to the moon. An American company makes a historic lunar landing. And tributes to a Corrie favourite. Actor John Savident dies aged 86. So join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Charlene, thanks very much indeed. Well, time for some sport now. And it's a big night in the Championship down at Elland Road this evening as second place Leeds United welcome top of the table Leicester.
The Whites have the chance to close the gap on the runaway leaders and pull away from the chasing pack behind them. Arif Ahmed is live for us pitchside at Elland Road. Good evening, Arif. A big night in store under the lights.
Evening, Ian. Yeah, absolutely. This place is going to be absolutely bouncing in a few hours' time as Leeds United look to blow the Championship title race wide open. If we have a look at the table, we'll see that Leicester are at top of the tree, but only a few weeks ago they were 17 points clear of Leeds United and they were sailing towards the league title. But they've hit some choppy waters now. If they lose to Leeds here tonight, that will be cut down to just 6 points, and Leeds United have aims of bouncing back to the Premier League at the first attempt, and now they might feel they can do it as champions.
You know, we face probably the toughest opponent at the moment in this league, but so do Leicester. So they also know that we are a really good side. So we don't have to lie. But for us, it's more or less like another chance to add the next points under our belt in order to improve our situation further on. Yes, and we want to use this momentum.
Well, Leeds United have been in imperious form. They're unbeaten in 2024. They're yet to lose a game here at Elland Road all season. They're one of the few teams to go to Leicester and pick up all 3 points, something that they did earlier in the season. But let me tell you, it's going to be a real red-hot atmosphere here tonight. With 12 games left in the season, it could be one to remember for Leeds United.
And of course, we will have the result from that game in our late bulletin. Arif, fresh beginnings at Huddersfield Town.
Yeah, that's right, Sally. The Andre Breitenreiter era will get underway tomorrow away at Watford. The German will take charge of his first game, having officially taken over on Tuesday. He's outlined the brand of football he wants to see from his team.
We want to play attractive, we want to press high, we want to score goals if it's possible, and we want to find solutions to use the space. So I'm positive for this game, and when I watched the training session yesterday, I saw a team really high motivated and with high intensity. So I'm very positive for Saturday.
To Rugby League now, and the Leeds Rhinos suffered their first defeat of the Super League season last night, losing away at Hull Kingston Rovers. Ash Hanley's incredible length of the field try, his second in 2 weeks, made it a close game in the second half, but ultimately the Robins held on to win 22 points to 12. Now, Joe Root scored his 31st Test century to help England finish in a strong position at the end of day one of the 4th Test out in India. The Sheffield-born batsman ended the first day unbeaten on 106. His knock helped England recover from 112 for 5 to end in a strong position of 302 for 7. Joe Root, one of the all-time great England batsmen. But we're all set to go here closer to home at Elland Road for an 8 o'clock kick-off. This is one not to be missed.
Thanks very much indeed, Arif, for bringing us up to date. Thanks a lot.
Kerry's with us now. Kerry, not a bad day at all today.
better than the last 2 days, wasn't it?
Not difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we have had some showers, but it's just, depending on where you were today, you got a different weather story. Certainly over the tops, where I did say it was going to be chilly, it was quite chilly. This was at Home Moss, which of course is on the border between Kirklees and West Yorkshire and the High Peak in Derbyshire, right over the tops, where it is over 500 metres above sea level. It was quite wintry, so we had a light dusting of snow, but you can see in the distance there at lower levels, it was just, well, rain. We have had some showers, and so it was a bit of a mixture. And we had also with our showers our sunshine, because that's what we get when we get sunshine and showers. And this is just a double rainbow in Cowling, North Yorkshire. A big thank you to Rebecca Farron. So lots of photos coming in from this week. Of course, where we had the sunshine, and it did feel quite nice. If you could get out of that breeze, Adalchurch and Cookridge, a big thank you to Paul Goodyear for this shot. It was feeling quite spring-like, and we talked earlier on in the week, of course, about that early blossom coming through. So a big thank you to Machiko for spotting this against the church there at Normanton in West Yorkshire. And Sean was at Newmiller Dam, soggy underfoot by the water's edge there. First thing, there was a downpour, but again, sunshine and showers. And they were packing in from the west, so the further east you were, we got the better of the conditions. And we've had some really interesting clouds today. So yes, some people got the blue sky, but Sean on Twitter, which is formerly known as Twitter, now X, said, "What are these clouds, Kerry? They are cumulonimbus clouds, basically a thunderstorm starting to develop, heaped rain clouds, and you've also been spotting them a little bit further north and west." This was Sue. She spotted them against the blue sky, starting to bubble up, starting to reach the higher troposphere, or the higher levels of our troposphere. And she said, "What's this scary cloud?" We can just see Mammatus, those sort of instability thunderclouds starting to develop there. Can you see the shape? Can you see the shape, you two?
That's very atmospheric.
I know. Can you imagine just seeing that?
Almost scary.
Going, whoa, it's
the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. You can enjoy the weekend, I promise.
I'm pleased to hear that. Thanks very much indeed, Kerry. And finally from us, a teenager from North Yorkshire is hoping to carry on the family tradition as she and her spaniels prepare to compete at the world's most famous dog show.
17-year-old Elizabeth Chandler is the fourth generation of her family to show dogs, and of course there's no bigger stage than Croft. John Hill has been to meet her grandma and their dogs in Northallerton.
Yes, well, if you've got a spring in your step and a shiny coat, well, you are in good company, because here come Jessie, handled by Elizabeth, and then look, it's Spin and son Spud. And in charge there is Elizabeth's grandma, Nicola. Now, Elizabeth, let's go down and dog level. Now, Jessie hasn't competed at Crufts before, is that right?
No, she's only 9 months old, so this year will be her first time ever competing at Crufts.
So are you nervous? Is she nervous?
I don't know if she's nervous. She probably doesn't know until now, and I've told her that she's going. But I'm pretty excited. I will say that the only time I get nervous before I go in the ring is at Crufts. That's the only time I sort of feel any sort of adrenaline before I go in the ring.
Well, I think that's fair enough. Yeah. Now, you've got some family pedigree, haven't you? Because Nicola, you're Elizabeth's grandma.
I am indeed.
You've been showing for 45 years. Now, who have we got here?
We have Spin here. He's show name Sticky Wicket, and he's 13. He's a champion. His son, who's rolling around in the grass here, he's just become a champion.
And they're Welsh Springers,
They're
is that
Welsh
right?
Springers. They're on the vulnerable list, so it means there's really not a lot of them.
Very briefly, what are the judges looking for, particularly with these then?
They're looking for a dog that fits the breed standard. It's a blueprint for each breed. A dog, a little bit of a noble-headed dog. The construction should be correct so that they're sound. They look as if they're able to do a day's work. They've got good, strong limbs, nice coat, good, clean eye, and a happy disposition.
Now, here's the thing, back to Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Actually, your great-grandma was the first of the family to show. I mean, could you not just turn around and say, actually, I'm a bit of a cat person, I'm not bothered?
No, definitely not. I don't like cats. No, she started showing with Great Danes and Pomeranians. Is that right, Grandma? Yeah. Many, many years ago. And that's obviously just got passed on to Grandma, then on to Mum, then on to me.
Well, we wish you luck. I think you better carry on with your training, hadn't you?
Cheers. Thank you very much.
And yes, off they go.
And wish them best of luck in a couple of weeks' time. A shiny coat and a happy disposition. I thought they were talking about John there for a minute.
Quite right. Now here's the one with a spring in her step. It's Kerry with the forecast.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you. Hello again. Yes, we did see a little bit more in the way of blue sky and sunshine across the region today. And it didn't feel too bad where we got the sunny spells, but of course there were a few rainbows and a few showers which were on the heavy side and even wintry side right over the tops. And in that breeze, it did feel a little bit chilly, certainly compared to what we've been used to over previous weeks. So these were Friday's showers packing in from the west. So the further east you were, the drier and the clearer conditions for longer during the course of Friday. So as we head through into this evening and overnight tonight, it's largely dry and clear, and that will certainly allow for the temperatures to take a tumble. So we're hovering just above or just below freezing overnight tonight. Small chance of a shower pushing onto the Pennines, but we're mostly dry. There could be 1 or 2 freezing fog patches as we head towards dawn, as well as a few rogue icy stretches as we head into the early parts of Saturday. Definitely a chilly start tomorrow. 7:07 and 5:33 are your sun times. So the blue indicating the frosty start, maybe some fog patches, a little slow to clear in the morning, and then a decent dollop of sunshine into the afternoon. There is a chance of catching a very well scattered shower. It will be lighter compared to today, and with the winds lighter and more variable into the afternoon, it will feel more pleasant across all parts in that sunshine. Highs around the average at 7 or 8 Celsius. As we head into the second half of the weekend, we are now quite confident this low pressure system is going to stay south. So for us, yes, frost and fog to start, decent dose of sunshine, perhaps turning a little milky into the afternoon with just a few scattered showers, and again 7 or 8 Celsius. Bit of a keen northeasterly though, perhaps bringing a few showers in off the east by Monday.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
There you go.
We'll keep our eye out for those sunny spells then over the weekend.
There's plenty of them, Sal.
If you say so, Kerry, I believe you.
It's true.
Yeah, we believe you, we believe you. That's it. Thanks very much for being with us this week. We look forward to seeing you again on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Bye for now.
Bye.